Good Tuesday afternoon to you. Thanks for joining Sports4CLE. We'll talk a little bit about Buckeye spring football with Stephen Means, also Ohio State Pro Day for the guys going into the NFL draft. But we have plenty of Browns topics ahead. We will be joined by Kay Cabot, Browns beat reporter here on cleveland.com, as well as in the pages of the Plain Dealer. One of the first things we're going to talk about is Jadeveon Clowney. The question is, will he be coming to the Browns? Some national talk about Clowney centers around the fact that he's extremely talented when he is healthy. But one, is he completely healthy? He's coming off another injury and some surgery. And number two is, what can he really expect that his price tag will be for this upcoming season?
Clowney's got to be healthy. That's the lure has got to be. You're watching film of Clowney saying, my God. But then you got to accept the fact that he's going to go stretches of the season and not be at 100%.
Exactly. I think that's exactly the problem. I think it's another case here, too, where a guy walks into a building and he realizes the market's not anything what he was expecting it to be. And it's even though I'm Jadeveon Clowney, I would got to think he's about a little realistic about, hey, I do have a really big-time injury history. Even in Seattle 2 years ago where he did a lot of good things, man, I mean, it still was a lot of weeks of being banged up, hurt, not being able to play that year, right? I mean, there was really only a handful of, really special games or moments altogether. So with what we've seen, the lack of money given to talented, in their prime type of players who have no injury right now in the NFL, again, I think that's one of those where it pops out where he's probably like, what? That's all you're going to offer me? Hold on a second here. He would be awesome coming off the edge, opposite of Myles Garrett. Again, hey, there's another team running the Seattle scheme. They're not interested in Richard Sherman either, Joe Woods and all that. He came from the 49ers. But, Clowney, again, is like you said, when healthy, is a difference maker coming off the edge. He's special that way. But I just can't imagine anybody giving him big money in a year like this.
All right, so let's welcome in Kay Cabot. Let's talk a little bit more about Jadeveon Clowney. Kay, Brown's obviously interested. Do you think it is the price that they're trying to figure out with Jadeveon Clowney?
Well, I think it's two things. I think it's the price, and then I also do think it's the health. They have to be reasonably sure that he's going to make it through the season and be able to contribute throughout the year. As those guys mentioned in the clip that you just played, he has an injury history. Last year, he missed the last 8 games of the season with a torn meniscus. He had surgery on it. The offseason before that, he underwent core muscle surgery. He has also had microfracture surgery in his knee. So these are all things that have to be taken into account. He's now 28 years old, and there is some wear and tear on the body. If they think he's healthy, then I think that they would like to go ahead and sign him. But maybe it could be the kind of a contract where it's incentive laden so that the club is protected in the event of injury.
As it drags further and further on, the reports that he visited the club, they had a good meeting, and then, he left without signing. As it gets further and further away from that visit, is it necessarily good news, bad news for the Browns, or just no news is no news?
You know what? I think they're in sort of wait and see mode. And I think last year, if you looked at what Jadeveon Clowney did, it was sort of similar. He just kind of strung it out for a very long time, trying to find the right situation for himself. So that could be part of it as well. Maybe seeing if anybody else is interested, deciding if he wants to take any other visits. Not really sure exactly what's going on right now. There's not a whole lot of information that's available about Jadeveon. It's very, very quiet, just like it was last year. So again, I think they would like to sign him. We know they're very interested. And I think that, he has to think that the money is right. They have to think the health is right.
The other thing that has happened is the Titans, beat reporter who works for the Titans has come out and said he does not think he will be going back to Tennessee. He thinks he will be going somewhere other than Tennessee based on who the Titans have signed. Is Jadeveon kind of that sports car, needs a lot of maintenance, but if you get everything tuned up just right, when you get it on the field, boy, it looks pretty and does everything you want it to do?
Yeah, you know what? He's still an elite player. He was the #1 overall pick in 2014, and he's graded out very, very highly, especially against the run. He's been in the 95th percentile against the run throughout his whole career. I think where people expect him to make more of an impact is in terms of sacks and the pass rush and things like that. That hasn't been happening for him over the last couple of years. I think he's got a total of maybe 3 sacks in the last couple of years. But he does so many other things. He's disruptive. He brings pressure. He does a lot of things. He comes off the edge very, very fast. And again, he sets the edge and stops the run. So I think he would be a good complement to Miles. And not only that, I think he would be a good complement to Takk McKinley, who really is really great at rushing the passer and getting that kind of pressure. So it would be sort of 2 different kind of guys rotating in over there.
And I know you spoke with Takk McKinley's former coach. We'll get into that in a little bit. That's really fascinating, interesting stuff, talking to Dan Quinn about Takk McKinley. Before we get there, let's go here. You've heard all over the place talk about how much salary cap the Browns potentially have left. Nobody knows for certain, we can say that. But from all accounts, would they have enough cap room left to sign Jadeveon Clowney if they decided, $8, $10, whatever $million?
Yes, absolutely they would. And some of it depends on how you structure the contract. I mean, you can get it to the point where the first year base salary, the paragraph 5 salary that really is going to kind of count against your cap is not an enormous number. And you can put voidable years on the end so you can spread out the signing bonus. There are creative ways to do it. So if they want to sign Jadeveon Clowney and get him under contract, they can do that. They have the money to do it. That's not going to be an issue. So
the Browns are still in really good salary cap, space this year as far as, having signed a number of the guys that they wanted. Not in any trouble at all from what we can tell.
No, they're not. They're in pretty good shape. They can still do what they want to do. They can extend the guys they want to extend. They still have enough money, obviously, left over for their rookie pool, which they have to set aside ahead of time for that. And so, yeah, they're in good shape. And again, this is a front office that you never have to worry about them in terms of managing the cap. They will probably always be amongst the best in the league at being able to do that.
Mary Kay Cabot. So we're going to step aside, take a quick time out. On the other side of the break, we kind of teased it and alluded to it earlier. Mary Kay talked to Dan Quinn, former coach of Takk McKinley. We're going to get an inside view of what Dan Quinn thinks could be ahead for Takk McKinley. Also, some more Super Bowl talk. We've got part of a Les Levine voicemail of Truth and Reason. One of the viewers thinks the Browns are going to win the Super Bowl. We'll hear from him. We'll talk about that. Sports4CLE will be right back. Stay with us.
Tri-C is here for you. Now more than ever, you need a post-secondary education. So I encourage you to start your journey here at Tri-C. The majority of classes will take place online, but we've added a variety of formats to meet your learning needs, and we've taken many steps to keep you safe on campus. Whether you're ready to get started or your 4-year plans have changed, Tri-C is where futures begin.
When it comes to selling you a mattress, most retailers are handing you a long line of extra steps that drive up costs and create confusion. At the Original Mattress Factory, we simplify the mattress shopping experience by building mattresses and box springs in our own local factories and selling them direct to you. It's short, sweet, and simply makes sense. So experience more than just a mattress store. Experience an original, the Original Mattress Factory.
Well, hello, everyone. Let me tell you a little bit about Browns Football Insider. For only $3.99 a month, you can get texts sent right to your phone each day from me, Dan Lobby, Scott Pasco, and Ellis Williams. In addition to that, you'll receive a Football Insider newsletter every day with special things from us, things that you won't see anywhere else on the site. You'll get breaking news, analysis, features, film breakdown, and things like that. Texting us directly gives you a great chance to cut through the clutter of Facebook, Twitter, other social media, and avoid the trolls. Also, it's the only way to get your questions on the Orange and Brown Talk podcast. So why should you sign up? Try a 14-day free trial. You can cancel at any time. All it takes is one text. but you won't want to cancel. We have hundreds of subscribers join us over the last year. They love it and have stayed with us. We're seeing the Football Insider community grow every week, and it's only $3.99 a month, which is less than 14 cents a day. What I like most about Football Insider is the opportunity to connect with you one-on-one and really communicate with you. So how can you become a Football Insider? You can click on cleveland.com/Browns, the blue banner at the top of the page. Or easier yet, text me at 216-208-3965. Again, that's 216-208-3965.
Sports4CLE continues. I'm Dave Bacon. We continue talking Browns football with Browns beat reporter Mary Kay Cabot. Mary Kay, you did a really interesting article. Takk McKinley, a guy that the Browns are taking a flyer on, thinks he has a high upside. His former head coach, Dan Quinn, also a defensive-minded guy. Take us through what Dan thought and what he thinks McKinley can do.
To have an opportunity to talk to Dan Quinn. I got to know him a little bit when he was interviewing for the Browns head coaching job in the year that Mike Pettin ended up getting the job. One of the reasons why Dan didn't get the job that year is because he was in the Super Bowl with the Seahawks and the Browns were not willing to wait for him. So it sort of changed the course of history for a couple of teams when that happened. But he really thinks the world of Takk McKinley. He is very close to him. He was there when they drafted him, and he was a large part of that. He believes that the Browns are getting the super motivated Takk that he saw heading into last season, 2020. In the first game of the season, Takk went out and had 5 quarterback hits on Russell Wilson in the first game. In the first half against the Seahawks, not the whole game. He ended up with 6 quarterback hits overall, but he was basically unstoppable. And Dan Quinn thinks that is the guy the Browns are getting, the one that was super motivated before he ended up suffering a groin injury in week 2 that really cost him the rest of the season.
Was there anything that cautionary tales with Takk? What did Dan say kind of went wrong there? Has it been strictly health?
He attributed it mostly to his health, and then also he did admit that Takk, did some growing up over the last couple of years, and he realized that nothing is going to be handed to him, and that he really has to work hard at it and put the whole thing together. And he thinks he finally did that heading into last season. He saw the change in him. He saw the maturity. He also had a child at some point along the way, and Dan Quinn believes that really also helped him realize that now he has something to play for and something to live up to. And, I think really the thing that stood out to me is that he really liked him as a person, even though you would think that things deteriorated in Atlanta to the point where they might not like him. He still really likes him and will remain close to him.
Yeah, the other thing that was impressive, to be honest with you, Takk McKinley said all the things you would want in that introductory press conference. He held himself accountable like you would hope that a guy that's getting ready to turn it around would.
Yeah, I really liked the interview. And when I talked to Dan Quinn, he said it's not surprising to him that he gave that kind of an interview because he's a very engaging young man. And he said he thinks that Browns fans are going to love him. He thinks the coaches will really like him. But he did say all the right things about getting it turned around and realizing, the best quote that he had when I asked him about wearing the suit and tie, he said, I realized that if I want to be in this league, I have to start acting like it. I mean, that was just a priceless quote by him. And now he's got to back it up. He's got to back it up, and he also has to stay healthy. He's also someone that has an injury history, just like Jadeveon Clowney. He's had 3 shoulder surgeries, one right before the draft in 2017, one after his rookie year, and then one following the 2019 season. So 3 shoulder surgeries on both shoulders, and it's just something that that he's had to deal with and try to overcome.
So if the Browns can unlock Takk McKinley, they could live up to some high expectations. So we're going to take a listen to the Les Levine voicemail of Truth and Reason. This is Troy Kozlowski, who is very, very much high on what he thinks the Browns will do.
Hey there, this is Troy Kozlowski, and just want to say, Go Browns. I really think we're going to win the Super Bowl this coming year. It's been a terrific offseason, probably the best offseason in the history of the Browns. We're making real big moves, and, the other, 31 teams, better look out. It's Cleveland against the world. Dog check, woof woof, Go Browns. And I love Baker Mayfield, but I love that man. And we're going to do tremendous things, signing Troy Hill, signing John Johnson, along with, the other names that we've signed, and Kevin Stefanski was Coach of the Year. And, I really believe we're going to a Super Bowl, man. And if we get there, I think we'll win.
All right, Mary Kay, there's been some national guys, a couple from ESPN, Mike Clay, who have picked the Browns to go to the Super Bowl. He picked the Browns and the Bucks way too early. He came out and said, yeah, I said it. What do you think? They're ranked pretty high in all the power rankings. When you look at that, is it realistic to say Super Bowl and Browns and mean it?
Well, they certainly have a chance. I mean, you can actually say it now and mean it. I mean, 2 years ago, you couldn't do that. 3 years ago, obviously, you couldn't do that. Now you can, and you can mean it. Now, does that mean that they are one of the top 2 teams right now going into the season? I wouldn't put them that high. In terms of power rankings, actually, our roundtable podcast this week, we might actually rank the teams. So that'll be interesting to see where the Browns fall. I would not have them necessarily up in the top 2 right now, but they're climbing. They're getting there. They have had a nice offseason. Baker Mayfield should be able to put together a full, really good season this year. I think he'll be better in his second season in this Kevin Stefanski system. I think with Odell coming back, I think that will help a lot. I think the coaches know the personnel so much better. So there are many, many reasons to be optimistic, but their schedule is also going to be tougher, and they have to have health on their side as well. They didn't have any, Odell was a bad injury last year, and so was Grant Delpit. But, Baker stayed healthy. Myles Garrett stayed healthy for the most part. They didn't really have, just any guys that they could not replace and get through the season. So they have to hope that happens again. But in terms of just the raw talent on this roster, certainly they have what it takes. They made it into the Final 8 last year.
Mary Kay Cabot and I are going to take a quick time out on the other side of the break. This won't go away. We'll talk about Hue Jackson, former head coach of the Cleveland Browns, kind of lobbing grenades at his old franchise. Sports4CLE. We'll be right back. Stay with us.
Presque Isle Downs and Casino has sports betting. Use one of our 50 state-of-the-art Bet America kiosks to place your bet and watch your favorite games on one of our many HD televisions, or visit our sportsbook area. Only at Presque Isle Downs and Casino.
We're living in uncertain times, but you don't have to put your future on hold. At Tri-C, you can move ahead while staying safe and saving money. The majority of classes will take place online, but we've added a variety of formats to meet your learning needs, and we've taken many steps to keep you safe on campus. Whether you're ready to get started or your 4-year plans have changed, check out Tri-C's programs and resources, because Tri-C is where futures begin.
When it comes to selling you a mattress, most retailers are handing you a line. A long line of extra steps that drive up costs and create confusion. At the Original Mattress Factory, we simplify the mattress shopping experience by building mattresses and box springs in our own local factories and selling them direct to you. It's short, sweet, and simply makes sense. So experience more than just the mattress store. Experience an original, the Original Mattress Factory.
Do you like Ohio State football? Would you like to get information from me, Doug Lesmerises, about Ohio State football without having to look at my face? We have got the plan for you. Become an Ohio State text subscriber through cleveland.com. You send a text 614-350-3315. What do you get? 2, 3, 4 texts right in your phone every day about Ohio State football. Inside information, polls, voting, all kinds of things. You can be on our podcast. We take text subscriber questions on our Buckeye Talk podcast every week. If you really want to be involved with Ohio State football, in season or out of season, become an Ohio State text subscriber from cleveland.com. Send a text to 614-350-3315. 14-day free trial. What do you have to lose? $3.99 a month after that. 614-350-3315. I'll see you in your phone.
Welcome back to Sports4CLE. I'm Dave Bacon. We continue talking Browns football with Mary Kay Cabot, Browns beat reporter. So Hue Jackson was on the really big show yesterday morning, ESPN 850, and was talking about how he felt like he was lied to. Of course, Hue is getting ready to write a book, yet to be named. Let's hope it's a better read than his playbook was, because that was kind of difficult. But let's take a look at what he said about some of the ways he was lied to, and here's one of them. They were going to be football plus analytics, but it was really football versus analytics. Mary Kay, you covered this day in and day out. Just your read of kind of what I mean. I know it's very interesting, but and I know Hugh's writing a book. What do you make of some of the things that came out of that?
Well, none of the things that he said were surprising to me. I think these are things that we've already all known before. These were certainly things that I've known. I talked to Hue the day that he was actually fired. He let me come to his house and interview him the day that he was fired. And, he did a little bit of venting, for background as well. So I kind of knew that he felt this way about a lot of things. I think the one thing that sort of came out was that he did get that extension after 1-23. I also knew that, but I was asked not to write that until the time was right. So I just kind of was just being patient and doing what I needed to do about that. I mean, when you're told something off the record, I mean, you absolutely have to honor that. So I did that, so I knew that took place, and I had checked back a couple times over the last, year or so, just to say, hey, is that something that I can go with, and he just really wasn't ready yet. But maybe now that the book is going to be coming out, he was ready to reveal that. So that was kind of interesting. But the rest of it, I think we pretty much knew all of that. So I don't think there was anything in there that was too shocking. And I think one of the reasons why he's, in addition to the fact that, he's going to be promoting a book, there's probably a couple things at play here. He's off the payroll now and he can talk a little bit more. And then the other thing is this was a difficult hiring cycle. And I think it just brought up a lot of feelings about minority coaches and the fact that there aren't enough of them in the NFL, and that his situation, he believes very strongly that what happened to him, was a deterrent for other minority coaches and didn't help matters. So I think it just brought up a lot of feelings about just how everything went down.
Now, the other thing that's kind of interesting is, the tweet that he had, and the topic is about Todd Haley. And if we take a look at that, as offensive coordinator, biggest mistake I ever made. Bad marriage, should never have done that. There was some thought that there was a lot of infighting and that Haley kind of viewed himself as a head coach in waiting. Is that accurate, do you think? Do you think that was that perception pretty much spot on?
I don't know if that was the game plan or not, but that was definitely a horrible disconnect there. They were at odds. Freddie Kitchens was at odds with him. It was very obvious that Todd, wasn't going to do what he wanted him to do. I think he did have a sense of empowerment, and I don't know if he got that from John Dorsey or what, but there was, right from the beginning of that season, sort of a lame duck feeling when it came to Hue. And he knew it. He could see the writing on the wall right from the beginning. He knew exactly what was going on. And I think ultimately he felt that Jimmy would continue to side with him and go ahead and fire Todd Haley and not him. And he was shocked. I mean, he was absolutely shocked when they let both of them go, because that's not what he was told was going to happen. He did not believe that's how it was going to go down. So yes, it was such a mess, just all the way around. And it's just hard when you look back on it to even believe that it all went on as long as it did.
How much more impressive does it make how quickly they got everything put together with Kevin Stefanski, Andrew Berry, given what they were coming from, with Hue Jackson, Freddie Kitchens? I mean, it came together quickly.
Well, first of all, there was a lot of talent on the football team. The year that Freddie Kitchens took over, he had a very, very talented football team to coach. And what they needed was a coach to bring it all together and to bring out that talent and to coach it up correctly. Something that he absolutely was unable to do. So I think John Dorsey did a tremendous job of stocking this roster with a lot of talent. And a lot of those guys that he drafted or traded for or acquired in one way or another are still the key members of this football team. So Kevin Stefanski was able to take over a very talented team and do what everyone hoped would happen the year before, when there still was Kareem Hunt, Odell Beckham Jr., Jarvis Landry, Baker Mayfield, Denzel Ward, Nick Chubb, Myles Garrett. I mean, it was still a very talented team. And then, of course, they added to it with Jack Conklin, Austin Hooper, and those guys. But it finally came together. And the key was the alignment. There has to be alignment. The Browns never have had it in the Haslam era. And that is from the chief strategy officer, Paul DePodesta, all the way down through the coaching staff, and then throughout the rest of the organization. Everybody is driving. Everybody's on the same bus this time, and they're all going in the same direction.
As somebody who's around the team regularly, is that something that you notice immediately? Is it a drastic, this is how it's supposed to be kind of thing?
Yes, every other year when they would try to put together the team, they would put together the front office and the coaching staff. I would always tell somebody in the organization, this is not going to work. I'm just telling you right now, it's not going to work. And this year, immediately, I knew it would work. I mean, there's just no way that you can't put Paul DePodesta, Andrew Berry, Kevin Stefanski together and have it not work. They all think the same way. They all are, again, pulling in the same direction. And now they have a talented football team to put out on the field and to get it coached up correctly. I think one of the best things about Kevin Stefanski was his ability to assemble a really good coaching staff. This is a good staff. These guys are tremendous. And we haven't even seen what they're capable of yet, because they didn't have an opportunity really to get together last year and put it all together and figure out how they wanted to do things. This year, I think you will see more collaboration. I think you will see more input from the assistants. I think you will see more creativity. And I think you will see some new wrinkles just all across the board.
Mary Kay Cabot and I are going to take a quick time out. On the other side of the break, the owners approve a 17-game regular season, 3 preseason games. We'll talk about that with Mary Kay. Also, some news about Odell Beckham Jr. Sports4CLE will be right back. Stay with us.
Tri-C is here for you. Now more than ever, you need a post-secondary education. So I encourage you to start your journey here at Tri-C. The majority of classes will take place online, but we've added a variety of formats to meet your learning needs, and we've taken many steps to keep you safe on campus. Whether you're ready to get started or your 4-year plans have changed, Tri-C is where futures begin.
When it comes to selling you a mattress, most retailers are handing you a line. A long line of extra steps that drive up costs and create confusion. At the Original Mattress Factory, we simplify the mattress shopping experience by building mattresses and box springs in our own local factories and selling them direct to you. It's short, sweet, and simply makes sense. So experience more than just the mattress store. Experience an original, the Original Mattress Factory.
Well, hello, everyone. Let me tell you a little bit about Browns Football Insider. For only $3.99 a month, You can get texts sent right to your phone each day from me, Dan Lobby, Scott Pasco, and Ellis Williams. In addition to that, you'll receive a Football Insider newsletter every day with special things from us, things that you won't see anywhere else on the site. You'll get breaking news, analysis, features, film breakdown, and things like that. Texting us directly gives you a great chance to cut through the clutter of Facebook, Twitter, other social media, and avoid the trolls. Also, it's the only way to get your questions on the Orange and Brown Talk podcast. So why should you sign up? Try a 14-day free trial. You can cancel at any time. All it takes is one text, but you won't want to cancel. We have hundreds of subscribers join us over the last year. They love it and have stayed with us. We're seeing the Football Insider community grow every week, and it's only $3.99 a month, which is less than 14 cents a day. What I like most about Football Insider is the opportunity to connect with you one-on-one and really communicate with you. So how can you become a Football Insider? You can click on cleveland.com/Browns, the blue banner at the top of the page. Or easier yet, text me at 216-208-3965. Again, that's 216-208-3965.
Sports4CLE will continue. I'm Dave Bacon. Let's welcome back in Mary Kay Cabot. Mary Kay, the NFL made it official. Owners approved 17-game regular season, 3-game preseason. What do you make of that? What are some concerns that, the players might have as well?
Well, of course, the concerns that the players will have, is just staying healthy and putting your body out there. I mean, when there were 4 preseason games, most of the time they did not play in the 4th one. They did not half the time play in, many of the other ones either. A lot of the veterans got rest during those preseason games. So this is another whole game, and there's only one bye week, and it's going to be a long season. So I think the NFL is going to have to accommodate the players a lot in this regard. And one of the things I really liked they did last year was the 3-week IR, where you could put a guy on IR and then bring him back 3 weeks later. I think they need to continue to do that. They should expand rosters. They should expand game day rosters so that you can have some more guys out there, and maybe a guy doesn't play the entire game. Maybe he gets some reps off here and there. So I think they're going to have to do some things to make sure that these guys stay healthy, and the players themselves will have to do things to take care of themselves.
So do you think it's a legitimate possibility that they could, in fact, expand that, the 53, whatever you want to call it, man roster, and game day rosters as well?
I haven't really studied the CPA yet to see if there are any parameters or restrictions on that at this moment. But if it's something that they can do, I think they should do it. And I think the players would appreciate it if they did do that, because once again, some guys have a hard enough time getting through 16 games. You start to get up into the 29, 30, 31, 32-year-old age range, and it gets a little bit more difficult. So hopefully they'll have plans in place to give these guys a break.
The other thing that was made public with this expanded roster or expanded season is starting in 2020, so not this year, or 2022 rather, not this year, next regular season. All 32 teams will play a game internationally over the next 8 seasons, and they're going to expand where they're playing internationally. Germany could have a game as early as 2022. So the idea behind it is the ESPN, the NFL is trying to grow globally with this new media rights deal as well.
Yeah, the first thing that came to my mind was, that we've got to get everybody moving about the world again, right? That's coming very, very soon, 2022, where they hope to play internationally again. So I guess they are very, very optimistic that the world will be open by then, and everybody will be able to get around and do what they need to do. So hopefully that will be the case. And it's exciting. I think it's exciting. I got to go to London with the Browns a couple of years ago, and that was a lot of fun. It was great to be there, and I really look forward to once again, going to Germany or Mexico. I think it's great for the league. There's a whole world out there that loves NFL football. I can attest to that just from traveling some in the way that I have. And it's really an untapped market, and now they'll take advantage of it.
Yeah, without question. Now, let's move on. And Odell Beckham Jr., who we follow his rehab via Instagram, has deleted his Instagram account. And again, I think it's more than anything, he's just trying to get away from everything for a little bit. But that's the way he keeps in touch, not necessarily with the media, but with his fans. And he has deactivated that account for a little bit as well.
Yeah, I'm not exactly sure why he did that, but I mean, I remember last year around this time, he went off the grid for a while too. And I don't think he necessarily deleted an account to do it, but he got really intense into his off-season rehab and his training. And he just kind of got super focused on what he needed to do. And I think he's doing that again, but maybe just taking it one step further and going off the grid, going off the social media grid.
Yeah, we need it back because we need to see the rehab that's going on, because that's that makes Browns fans feel good, is when you can see Odell Beckham Jr. getting healthy. So somebody tell him, get back. We need to see the rehab and how it's going. Last thing I'll ask you. Last year, we touched on no Baker Mayfield, but the Browns had a number of injuries that kind of beat them up. Delpit gone, Denzel Ward beat up, and it was specifically in areas where they didn't have a lot of depth. How impressive was what the Browns did last year, given that they had some of those guys who missed entire seasons?
Yeah, it was very impressive. It was very impressive because not only did you have guys missing big chunks of the season, as you mentioned, Denzel Ward missed some, but you had guys missing games because of COVID-19 too. And that certainly didn't help matters. We saw what Myles Garrett went through. He missed 2 games with COVID-19, and then he really wasn't himself the rest of the way. So they had to make up for a lot of that, and they were able to do it. And I think it really speaks to the coaching. These guys were able to get the next man ready to play like you would not believe. I think it was one of the most impressive things of 2020 is that, especially even defensively, it just seemed like they just kept having to roll guys in there, and they were getting the job done, whether it was MJ Stewart or Carl Joseph or whoever it was that would have to step in, they would be able to do it. And I think that was tremendous. Now this year there will be way more depth, especially on defense. And so I think they'll be in a better position, but you just can't say enough about the job they did in that regard.
Well, and keep in mind, it was even with Kevin Stefanski. He missed the playoff game because of COVID. So Mike Prefer, next coach up as well.
Yeah, it was pretty bizarre. It really was, when you think about poor Kevin Stefanski having to watch that game in his basement. Still so hard to believe. But fortunately for him, it didn't stop him from getting NFL Coach of the Year. Well-deserved. And hopefully they can all build on that in 2021.
Mary Kay Cabot, as always, appreciate the time and the insight. Thanks very much for spending some time with us. Mary Kay Cabot, Browns beat reporter. We're going to step aside and take a quick time out here on Sports4CLE. Stephen Means, Buckeyes beat reporter. Straight ahead, we'll talk Buckeye spring ball and a little bit more. Stay with us.
Presque Isle Downs and Casino has sports betting. Use one of our 50 state-of-the-art Bet America kiosks to place your bet and watch your favorite games on one of our many HD televisions, or visit our sportsbook area. Only at Presque Isle Downs and Casino.
We're living in uncertain times, but you don't have to put your future on hold. At Tri-C, you can move ahead while staying safe and saving money. The majority of classes will take place online, but we've added a variety of formats to meet your learning needs, and we've taken many steps to keep you safe on campus. Whether you're ready to get started or your 4-year plans have changed, check out Tri-C's programs and resources, because Tri-C is where futures begin.
When it comes to selling you a mattress, most retailers are handing you a long line of extra steps that drive up costs and create confusion. At the Original Mattress Factory, we simplify the mattress shopping experience by building mattresses and box springs in our own local factories and selling them direct to you. It's short, sweet, and simply makes sense. So experience more than just a mattress store. Experience an original, the Original Mattress Factory.
Do you like Ohio State football? Would you like to get information from me, Doug Maurice, about Ohio State football without having to look at my face? We have got the plan for you. Become an Ohio State text subscriber through cleveland.com. You send a text, 614-350-3315. What do you get? 2, 3, 4 texts right in your phone every day about Ohio State football. Inside information, polls, voting, all kinds of things. You can be on our podcast. We take text subscriber questions on our Buckeye Talk podcast every week. If you really want to be involved with Ohio State football, in season or out of season, become an Ohio State text subscriber from cleveland.com. Send a text to 614-350-3315. 14-day free trial. What do you have to lose? $3.99 a month after that. 614-350-3315. I'll see you in your phone.
Sports4CLE continues. I'm Dave Bacon. We're going to shift our focus a little bit. We're going to stay in football realm, but we're going to go spring football with the Ohio State Buckeyes. When we talk Buckeyes, we always like to welcome in Stephen Means, Buckeyes beat reporter here on cleveland.com, as well as in the pages of the Plain Dealer. Stephen, appreciate the time. We'll get to that quarterback battle in spring ball in just a minute. Who are some guys to listen out for that you think could make an impact that don't necessarily take the snap under center for the Buckeyes?
Yeah, it starts at running back with TreVeyon Henderson, the freshman, the number 1 running back in the country. There's this vibe around him that screams J.K. Dobbins 2017 when he just came in and took the place by storm. And from game 1 against Indiana, it was very clear that this was an NFL-level running back that we were talking about here. And just like there was with Dobbins back in 2017, there's a clear path to the field for a kid like that to come in here and take off from day 1. So that's where things start first. There's where your energy should be focused. And then after that, it's rebuilding the linebacker room. Obviously, you lost Baron Browning, you lost Tuff Borland, you lost Pete Warner and Justin Hilliard. Those 4 guys have been basically the staple of the linebacking core, along with Malik Harrison, who graduated 2 years ago. And so now it's going to be some fresh faces for the first time in a while. There's some top 100 kids who have been waiting their turn, guys like Taraja Mitchell and Kayvon Pope and Dallas Gant. You've got some sophomores and Cody Simon and Mitchell Melton. And then there's a true freshman in Reed Carrico who might be able to carve out a role. So those are the 2 spots where the focus goes as far as there's openings for some young, new fresh faces to step up there and have a role that they haven't had in the past.
Who has Ryan Day talked about as having really good offseason, really good start to the spring as well?
Yeah, a lot of the young guys. He's pointed out some of the secondary guys as well. Legend Cavazos, who missed a lot of last year as a true freshman, dealing with some injuries. Ryan Watts, Sevin Banks, Josh Proctor have all stood out. Obviously, Taraja Mitchell has maybe stepped up into more of a leadership role now. But outside of that, it's a lot of the people you would think. Zach Harrison, a former 5-star guy who many people think might be the next Bosa brother, Chase Young type defensive end. He seems to be finally taking that step in that direction at this point. But outside of that, it's just the people you would expect. Bear Munford, Paris Johnson, Nicholas Petit-Frere, all the expected names maybe just stepping up into more of a leadership role because you lost so many voices off of the team for the last 2 years who are maybe the leaders, guys like Tuff Borland, guys like Jonathan Cooper. They're obviously the on-field production needs to show up as well, but also some leadership in that locker room is going to need to be replaced as well.
All right, got to talk about quarterback as Justin Fields is making his way to the NFL where he'll be a top 5 potentially, maybe certainly top 10, but probably top 5 draft in the upcoming NFL draft. Who's going to be the next Buckeye quarterback?
Yeah, obviously everybody thinks C.J. Stroud probably has the lead in that battle. We don't know that. I mean, it's all based off of Justin Fields had to leave the game twice, once in the Michigan State game and once in the Clemson game, and C.J. Stroud came in and handed the ball off to Trey Sermon. But we don't really know much, but it's him Jack Miller, who was another top 100 recruit in that 2020 recruiting class, who dealt with some injuries, so you saw his ranking kind of tumble there as he reached signing day. And then Kyle McCord, the 5-star true freshman who just showed up here 2 months ago, who's in that fight as well. It's going to be one of those three guys, and no matter what, I mean, Ryan Day has showed us, whether it was with Dwayne Haskins or now with Justin Fields, that whoever ends up being that starter, Ohio State's in good hands. But it is an interesting situation for Ohio State to be in, to where you've got three guys in a battle who have never actually thrown a pass in a college football game.
That's very true, but you point out something very valid. You know, Dwayne Haskins, Justin Fields, you can throw Joe Burrow in there because that was a guy that was there as well. Those are three guys that are going to be top 15 picks. You know, one was number 1 overall. Fields could go anywhere from 3 to, you know, he's not making it past 8 in all likelihood. So when you look at the quarterback position, safe to say they're going to have a really good guy who Ryan Day is comfortable with playing quarterback.
Yeah, I think the expectation in the Ryan Day era is that not only by perception is the Ohio State quarterback a Heisman Trophy guy to look out for, he might win it. And you should be getting to New York every year with your quarterback. Obviously, Justin didn't get here this year, but he only played 6 games, and it was weird, and it was COVID. But every year, the expectation should be from going on forward is Ryan Day is going to bring 5-star quarterbacks in here, and then they're going to go to New York, whether they win it or not, and then they're going to be first-round NFL draft picks.
When you look at the Buckeyes team, has the goal changed? Is it realistic again to think, hey, they're going to be in that mix, you know, to make the college football playoff? What is that expectation? What it is now? You know, if it's not the college football playoff, it's kind of a disappointing year.
Yeah, I don't know if it's necessarily a disappointing year, because it's hard with Big Ten teams, man, because one game and you're probably out. It's not like you're playing in the SEC. But yeah, the expectation should be this team is competing for national championships. I know Justin Fields was awesome, but look, think about it this way: whoever ends up being that quarterback is going to have Chris Olave to throw through. He's going to have Garrett Wilson to go through. He's going to throw to. He's going to have a bunch of other top 100 wide receivers to throw to. You lost Josh Myers and Wyatt Davis, but you might be replacing him with one kid who might be the next Orlando Pace in Paris Johnson. Harry Miller's a 5-star who will be in his 3rd year. 2nd year as a starter, coming over to center. And another top 100 guy at the other guard spot. And then, as I mentioned earlier, with Travion Henderson, the number 1 running back in the country. So he's going to have plenty of weapons to make up for whatever learning curve he has to go through this season. And then obviously, you'll need to see improvement on the defensive end in the secondary. But outside of that, you're pretty confident that every single season, with the way this team recruits, with the way this team develops talent, every year should be a year where they're trying to win a national championship. And that should be the expectation.
Stephen Means and I will return. We're going to take a quick time out. Today was also Pro Day at Ohio State. We'll talk to Justin about, we'll talk to Stephen about Justin Fields and how he performed at his Pro Day. We'll also talk about some guys the Browns might be interested in from Ohio State. Sports4CLE, we'll be right back. We're talking Buckeyes Pro Day when we return.
Tri-C is here for you. Now more than ever, you need a post-secondary education. So I encourage you to start your journey here at Tri-C. The majority of classes will take place online, but we've added a variety of formats to meet your learning needs, and we've taken many steps to keep you safe on campus. Whether you're ready to get started or your 4-year plans have changed, Tri-C is where futures begin.
When it comes to selling you a mattress, most retailers are handing you a long line of extra steps that drive up costs and create confusion. At the Original Mattress Factory, we simplify the mattress shopping experience by building mattresses and box springs in our own local factories and selling them direct to you. It's short, sweet, and simply makes sense. So experience more than just a mattress store. Experience an original, the Original Mattress Factory.
Well, hello everyone. Let me tell you a little bit about Browns Football Insider. For only $3.99 a month, you can get texts sent right to your phone each day from me, Dan Lobby, Scott Pasco, and Ellis Williams. In addition to that, you'll receive a Football Insider newsletter every day with special things from us, things that you won't see anywhere else on the site. You'll get breaking news, analysis, features, film breakdown, and things like that. Texting us directly gives you a great chance to cut through the clutter of Facebook, Twitter, other social media, and avoid the trolls. Also, it's the only way to get your questions on the Orange and Brown Talk podcast. So why should you sign up? Try a 14-day free trial. You can cancel at any time. All it takes is one text, but you won't want to cancel. We have hundreds of subscribers join us over the last year. They love it and have stayed with us. We're seeing the Football Insider community grow every week. And it's only $3.99 a month, which is less than 14 cents a day. What I like most about Football Insider is the opportunity to connect with you one-on-one and really communicate with you. So how can you become a Football Insider? You can click on cleveland.com/Browns, the blue banner at the top of the page. Or easier yet, text me at 216-208-3965. Again, that's 216-208-3965.
Sports4CLE continues. I'm Dave Bacon. We're going to continue talking Buckeyes football with Stephen Means. And Stephen, I tried to make you Justin Fields there. I know in a few months you're going to wish you had the payday that young man is getting. Had his pro day today. How impressive was he? What'd you see? What'd you hear about Justin Fields' performance?
Yeah, I'd love to be Justin Fields. I think he's going to be making a lot more money than me in a couple months. But yeah, he was about as awesome as you thought Justin Fields would be. A 4.44 40, which I think 99.9% of the planet would be okay saying that they can run 40 yards in 4.44 seconds. But that's a disappointment for him. Obviously, his goal was to get into the 4.3s, but still, he's 6'3", 225 pounds. You're not supposed to be running that fast when you're that big. But here he is being the freak that he is. I think the most impressive thing he did today, obviously, was at the end of his throwing session when he basically mimicked Zach Wilson's throw. They worked with the same guy to script their pro day, so obviously he wanted to show off that arm as well. But those are the two things that stand out. He's got a rocket of an arm that's very accurate for somebody like that. But then also that 4.4 40 time that's crazy. That's insane, and it solidifies him as a first-round draft pick, as we already knew. Now the question is, Trevor Lawrence is going to go number one to the Jaguars, whether it's the Jets, the 49ers, the Falcons, or anybody else. Where does Justin Fields fall into that category?
Yeah, and you know, the important thing for him might not be whether he goes 2, 3, 4, wherever. It's going to be fit. Does somebody realize, and you know, Browns fans know this for certain, realize what you have in the quarterback, tailor your offense around to his strengths, and you have a winning recipe there. The other thing is, you know, you listen to Ryan Day talk about him, and he checks all the boxes of an NFL franchise quarterback. You've seen him more than anybody. Is that accurate?
Yeah, it's 100% accurate. I think he gets stuck on his first read too much is a little overblown. One, because most college quarterbacks get stuck on their first read. That's why they're college quarterbacks and not getting paid millions of dollars to do this. But also, I'd get stuck on my first read too if their names were Chris Olave or Garrett Wilson, and most of the time they're 5-6 yards open down the field. There's no reason for you to go through progressions when that first read is consistently open. But also, if you look at the film, he has improved in that area a lot. You saw it in the Clemson game when he was checking down passes to Trey Sermon. He wasn't doing that when he first got to Ohio State. Now, can he hold on to the ball a little too long? Yeah, sure. But that's because he goes big game hunting. And as you're showing on the screen right now, he wants to throw passes like that more than the 6-yard dig most of the time. But I do think some of his weaknesses are a bit overblown, and some things that when you put it into context, it's actually not that bad. He's ready for this level, physically gifted, obviously, a great athlete with a rocket arm, as I've mentioned before.
Yeah, and if I had an arm like that, I'd be wanting to do that instead of the 6-yard dig routes too. The other thing is, he has won consistently, you know, at Ohio State and before as well. So that's the bottom line. Does the guy win?
Yeah, he lost to Clemson and Alabama. I mean, look, those are the two best programs in the country. And that's the only teams you lost to when you avenged one of those losses the very next year. And also, he's 20-2 as a starter, obviously, and he's had 2 bad games. And in one of those games, they were up 45-7 before he went crazy. And then the other one was just weird because you were missing your best receiver and a bunch of other guys because of the COVID situation. So, yeah, he's won a lot of football games, and he started 22 games, and for the most part, he's looked awesome. And that's, I think, needs to outweigh what he did for maybe a half or so against Northwestern or Indiana.
All right, before I let you go, Les Levine used to have a thing for the Browns, wanted them to take the best Buckeye available. Who do you see as a Buckeye that might be available to the Browns that might fit and help them out? Obviously, it's got to be a defensive. They're going to be looking on the defensive side of the ball.
Yeah, that's tough. I'd say maybe Baron Browning or Pete Warner. Pete Warner maybe just because he's got some safety skills as well as a linebacker. But I think Baron Browning's stock is going to continue to rise here. I think what he was able to do at Pro Day today, I think he ran, a 4.53 for a guy who's 6'4", 230. That's pretty ridiculous. His times and his numbers today were testing through the roof. I think he's a guy who would have been a star at the Combine had it happened this year. But I am just a firm believer that that's a guy who might be a 10 times better NFL player than he ever was as a college player. And that's just because of the way he's going to get used at that level in ways that he wasn't necessarily used at Ohio State for a bunch of different reasons. Obviously, he's versatile and all those things. But that was the number one linebacker in the country coming out of the 2017 recruiting class, and he never quite lived up to that. But we might look back on this 2-3 years down the line when he's maybe broken out as a great player in the NFL and going, where was this at Ohio State? Kind of not to the same level we do with Michael Thomas, but that idea of Michael Thomas is awesome. Where was this and why wasn't he used like that as Ohio State? And I think that's the path Baron Browning might be on. And whoever takes him, whether it's in the second or third round, might be getting a steal there.
Stephen Means, as always, appreciate the time and the insight as Buckeyes beat reporter Stephen Means giving us the information on the Buckeyes, both from spring football as well as Pro Day. Well, want to remind you, with opening day coming up, we want your opening day memories. You can get them to us via the Les Levine voicemail of Truth and Reason, 216-200-6650. Opening day memories to the voicemail, the Les Levine voicemail of Truth and Reason, 216-200-6650. We'll accumulate them over the next couple of days, play them back for you. But again, give us your opening day memories from the Indians. We want to hear them on the Les Levine voicemail of Truth and Reason, 216-200-6650. You can also leave a voicemail about other topics. You want to talk about the Browns, whatever, what have you. That's the place to do it on the Les Levine voicemail of Truth and Reason. Also, if you want to email the show, it's sports4CLE, the number 4, at gmail.com. Sports4CLE, spelled out, at gmail.com. That'll do it for today's show. Tomorrow, scheduled to talk with Jake Burns from the Orange and Brown Report. Always a great insight into Browns as far as scheme goes. We'll get into some of the draft guys that the Browns might look and who might fit with the Browns. Jake Burns from the Orange and Brown Report. We're also going to have Mandy Bell, Indians beat reporter on Indians.com as well as MLB.com. As opening day gets closer, we'll get Mandy's take. She was down in Goodyear, Arizona for spring training for a good chunk of it. We'll hear what she thinks about some of the young guys and some of the keys for a successful season with the Indians. That is coming up tomorrow, Wednesday, here on Sports4CLE. We're all out of time today, Tuesday. Have a great night, everybody. We will see you again tomorrow, 4 o'clock, right here, Sports4CLE.